Welcome back to Vanlife with Luci. This week's episode takes you across some of the wildest, most dramatic landscapes in Scotland. As I travel from Wailing Widow Waterfalls to Ardvreck Castle to tackle the Bealach Pass at Applecross. Then we're going to make the long journey back down through Glencoe, Dumfries, and finally get to the Lake District just in time for my birthday. One of the things I love about road trips like this is that you can stop off wherever you want most of the time, with anything that catches your eye, whether that's a little walk or, in this case, a massive group of male deer. Oh dear! Talk about going down to the pub at the end of a long day. I caught these fellas all having a little sippy drink at the end of this beautiful loch. But look how statuesque still they are. So because I pulled over the van and put the hazards on just in case anybody came, I slowly walked and approached, but I didn't go further than, as you can see on the super zoom. First major stop on our list today is the Glencoe Bridge. This also has a hotel next to it which serves delicious food, and you can stop in the car park here because overnight parking is tolerated. It's a beautiful view and a beautiful bridge, so definitely worth a picture. My second stop today is Wailing Widow's Waterfall, a tall, moody cascade that feels like something straight out of a Scottish legend. The water drops just over 30 metres from Loch Assynt, or is it Gernick? Sorry about my pronunciation, guys, into a rocky gorge, and the entire area is completely wrapped in mist, or it was the morning that I went. After it had lifted, it was very, very wet on the floor, so as you can see as I'm walking through the trail, it was just like bog monsters everywhere. Jumping from stone to stone, I always call this type of trail a bog monster, which means if you step off any of the solid rock, you're about to lose your shoe because the bog will just suck up your foot, so you got to be really careful. An interesting fact about this place is that Wailing Widow actually comes from a folktale about a grieving woman, though no one really knows like the true mythology and whether it's true or if it's not, but it's kind of become folklore now. Apparently she was trying to save her son from falling over the edge, so that's why it's called Wailing Widow. It could also be because the waterfall looks like, you know, like a big overflow of tears. The waterfall is actually created by the overflow of the loch above, which is why it's just so powerful. I was there after some heavy rainfall, as you can see with Storm Amy, so it was very dramatic when I was there, and it had recently flooded and then I think subsided, which is why the path was still so wet. Another reason why this is one of my favourite stops on Scotland was that despite feeling super remote, it's actually become quite popular as a spot because of things like Instagram. So I went here really early in the morning so I could have the entire gorge to myself. There was only one other photographer that I saw that was coming down just behind me. Welcome to the haunted ruins of Ardvreck Castle. It's on the edge of Loch Assynt, and the castle sits on a tiny little peninsula surrounded by a little beach. It's all surrounded by mountains, and even though it's almost a complete ruin, there is a kind of eerie atmosphere here going on. If you've ever seen the Disney film Brave, I imagine it to be like this clan-esque, steeped in mythology, like ghosts and stuff. It was a bit kind of creepy there. Ardvreck Castle was built by Clan MacLeod in the late 1500s, I think, and it's famous for the imprisonment of James Graham, or Marquess of Montrose, in 1650. So again, it's a place of huge significance, and it's been here for hundreds of years, just getting battered by all those winds coming off the Atlantic. Just along the shore, you'll find the remains of the Callada house here, which mysteriously burned down in 1737 and has been abandoned ever since.
This is where I live, baby. I've just made myself my first coffee. I made two, because I only had water this morning when I got. Look at the midges going mental on my skin. Extreme close up. I'm just watching the clouds. Look at this. On this mountain whilst I finish my coffee. I've made it this morning and put it in my little Costa cup. Mugs are all dirty because I've not done the washing up. Look at this. How moody is all that? Just clinging to the top of the mountain.
This road feels more like something you'd find in the Alps rather than Scotland. It's a narrow single track with minimum pullover places. It's got steep gradients, crazy hairpins, and the pass actually climbs over 626 metres on one single road, so it makes it one of the highest road climbs in Britain. Historically, it was always used for things like cattle droving, where before cars ever even attempted it, you would get casual farmers taking their cows up higher to have the pastures in the summer times. During the winter, the road frequently closes because the weather conditions become way too dangerous. It's also filled with potholes. After surviving the switchbacks and reaching the viewpoint over the Applecross Bay, I started my journey back towards the south, driving towards an unforgettable landscape with Glencoe.
Hey, so I'm just about to start the ascent up the Bealach Pass, and I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to just film this moment is because it's full circle. It's a full circle moment. I came up here 6 years ago in my old blue LDV van, and I've not had it like mega long. I threw it up this mountain, and on the way back down I bust the wheel. Because like you have to dip in and out on the pass in places, and some of the drop-offs in the bog are like thick and deep. This time, new van, I've had a Lannis now for nearly 3 years, but in a different van that I'm way more experienced driving. I've generally had like 7 years now of driving vans, so, and as my daily vehicle, so I feel way more competent to just generally drive this road. But 100% it is a very difficult road to drive, just for obstacles and like camber, like it's all over the shop. It is all over the shop, and the scenery is just resplendent.
I will say that even though I've driven dangerous roads all around Europe now, this is a sketchy road. I think the potholes don't help, the dramatic weather conditions. I've done this in rain and sleet, and it's always dodgy weather whenever I come up here. I've never had a blue sky day. I think it all just adds to the drama. Not to mention trying to explain to somebody else, for example, not from the UK, that this is a road where I can be going up to 30 miles an hour on a complete blind hairpin with a drop off of 500 metres to the left of me. This road is not for the faint-hearted. After leaving Applecross Bay, I started my journey south with a heavy heart. Driving back down towards England always feels like a sad journey home. It was an unforgettable landscape, but Glencoe always cheers me up no matter what the weather is, because its towering peaks and deep glens always make it feel so unreal. It's really cinematic as a drive. From here, I continued to go on to Dumfries and then stopped over at Greymare's Waterfall Trail, which is a beautiful hike to do, and I had blue sky weather on the day that I was there, so that was really good as a bit of a leg stretch and to break up the journey. Dumfries was calm, green and peaceful, a total contrast to the rugged north, and it makes the perfect rest stop before continuing on to that final stretch. Eventually, I rolled into the Lake District, swapping the Scottish peaks for England's gentle rolling fells and glassy lakes. This part of the drive always feels a little bit symbolic, like coming out of the wilderness and going back into a softer landscape, even though, arguably, the Lake District is just as beautiful and wild. And that wraps up this week's journey from waterfalls to castles and high mountain passes, deep valleys, and finally down to the lakes. It's been one of my favourite routes yet. They say that west is best, and I definitely feel the west of Scotland really have fantastic gems. As it's my birthday, I've decided to do the Honister Slate Mine Pass. Ooh! And do some waterfall dipping in some of my favourite places. Absolutely love it here. And you can stop overnight at the Honister Slate Quarry car park. And it's only £10 for overnight, and you get toilet facilities. Not to mention they've got a really good cafe that you can use in the morning for breakfast as well. But just check out those overnight views. Absolutely beautiful. Watching the sunset behind Honister Pass is a definite bucket list. If you've loved travelling with me, don't forget to like, comment and follow, and join me in on next week's episode of Van Life with Lucy, where I'll be doing a questions and answer session all about my trip around Scotland. So if you have any questions about what van life in Scotland is like, feel free to ask me in the comments below and I shall answer you next week.
I've also started a Patreon, so if you'd like to subscribe, then feel free to have a click below. You'll be able to access new posts, exclusive content, and you'll be able to see all of my YouTube videos ad-free. So if that sounds cool, feel free to have a little look below and click the subscribe link once you get to my Patreon page. Thanks very much for watching and look forward to seeing you next week.